Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unsecurity Podcast. Today is episode 200.
Woo-hoo.
Wow. Can't believe we're
Lots
here.
of, lots of us.
Yeah, lots and lots of excellent conversation. I'm Oscar, and with me is the always wonderful Brad Nye. How's it going, Brad?
Good. I was saying earlier that was on vacation last week and mid upper 70s all week and got home Sunday 9:15, 9:30 and had to clear 10 inches of snow off the driveway. So welcome back.
Yeah.
Hello, reality.
Yeah. Welcome to Minnesota in April.
Right.
Yeah. So glad you got a vacation in, man. How was your vacation?
It was awesome. Forced myself to lock my phone in the safe and just relax and enjoy the time with family. And the first couple of days were a little rough because you're used to having your phone all the time. But
yeah,
once I kind of got through it and realized, hey, nothing's on fire, I can just be. It was nice. It was a nice break.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to actually get to that point of relaxation?
So we got there Sunday, and it was probably Tuesday afternoon that I was kind of like, all right, I made it through a day and a half of the work week. Nothing blew up. There was one text that needed to be dealt with, and I dealt with it at lunch when we went up to the room, and I was like, okay, this works. I can do this.
Nice. Yeah, that's good, man. Sometimes it takes people longer than that. 2 days is pretty good. I feel like as attached as we are, if you can really get to that point of, I won't say totally detached, but almost totally detached in 2 days, that's pretty good, man.
I'd say Wednesday was really the first full day where I was just like, yeah, let's lock this bad boy up and go.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I'm on vacation. I got vacation brain.
Yep.
Yeah, no worries in the world. Heck yeah. So it's funny. I think we've talked about this on here before. Like everybody knows, Brad's been working really hard for a lot of our developing and building our vendor risk management program and has been very busy with that internally. And it turns out even when Brad goes on vacation, he can't escape VRM.
It blew my mind. So we're at a resort in Mexico. We get sat down at they have a big, like what they call their Mexican dinner. So outdoor in their big plaza, open area, they had tables, oh gosh, probably 70 some odd tables, and each table sat 10 people. Sat down with another family of 5. We're talking. They're from Edmonton, I think, and if I'm remembering, and asked the husband what he does. He's a third-party administrator for fringe benefit funds in Canada. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, really? What are the odds that would happen? But we had a good laugh.
But then you had, totally relaxed and forgot about work, and you instantly plugged back in, right? And you were talking VRM.
We kept it pretty high level, mostly how bizarre the structures are and how weird the interactions are. So we had a good laugh about it, but didn't spend a whole lot of time on work. So but I can't escape.
So another thing I got to talk to you about, we haven't chatted about, you were like, we did an internal March Madness bracket, and Brad was in a commanding lead going into the Final Four weekend, and there was only one scenario that could play out where you didn't get first place, and that scenario played out. But you were right there, man. Second place is respectable.
I could not believe Texas losing. I had Texas, San Diego State in the final, so
I
had Texas, UConn, San Diego State, and Purdue in the Final Four. So I was going in with pretty good, the Elite Eight, feeling pretty solid about it. I was like, all right, well, only, like you said, I'm watching them like there's only one way I lose is if UConn wins the whole thing. I was like, son of a.
Yeah, and it was funny. I didn't want to spoil rain on your parade, but after I watched UConn in the Final 8, the Sweet 16 in the Final 8, I was like, oh man, these guys look really, really good right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, I was fine with it up until the Final Four because I had them going there anyway. But I was rooting for Miami and San Diego State pretty heavily. But oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, to compare my bracket, and I'm a hoops fan. I love hoops, and my bracket came in a very, very respectful 28 out of 40.
Yeah, I'll have to pull it up.
Maybe even 30 out of 40. My bracket was bust the first weekend. It's so funny. I always talk to folks doing these things. It's like, I don't know. I don't watch sports. I don't know a lot about the teams. It's like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Just have fun, make your best picks, and you never know what's going to shake down because you're probably one of very few people that had San Diego State picked in the finals. I mean, that was a solid pick, man, that I didn't see coming. I never would have guessed that.
Kind of, it's the gambling mentality a little bit there, right?
Yeah.
You got to pick some underdogs that maybe are lower ranked. Maybe they get an easier bracket. I had them upsetting. I had Alabama losing. I just didn't think they would be there with it. But yeah, whatever. End of the day, I can't complain about second place.
Yeah, it's very respectable. And it's even funnier, like our new employee who's literally been here a month, or 2 months, I guess. She's the one who won the bracket. And I talked to her. She said it's the first bracket she's ever filled out in her life.
What's funny is I saw that. I was like, I have no idea who this is. Like, I had to look her up because I didn't recognize her name. I was like, oh, that's who it is. All right, well, I hate her now. No.
Oh, man. Yeah, so glad to have you back, man. Sounds like you got to relax and unwind. That's excellent. What's going on for work, man? Anything fun and exciting you're working on right now?
Just more VRM stuff. Working with some community colleges next week about the FTC safeguard rules and what does that mean for them under GLBA and more acronyms that I could throw out there. But, really that they're finally kind of understanding that they are going to have to take this seriously. I'm guessing a lot of it is their higher ed has become almost uninsurable from a cyber perspective.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm wondering how much of that is playing into it. So that'll be a fun conversation next week. I think there's 25 CFOs that I'll be talking to. So that's exciting.
You'll be the most exciting talk of the day and the most exciting thing they hear all week. No disrespect to people who work in finance, but I think Brad will be
I'll scare
exciting.
Them.
Yeah.
Talk about the union that lost the $6.4 million in a email compromise scam and some of that other stuff gets their attention pretty quick.
Yep. Hey, that reminds me, and I wanted to talk about this in the last episode, and we never got to it. I think maybe I want to bring this up today. I think a couple episodes ago, we were talking about new tactics in ransomware, right? Where we're seeing threat actors kind of shift their MO to where they're exfilling your data, they're proving they exfilled your data, and they're not encrypting. And we've talked about reasons why they may not be encrypting, and essentially forcing a ransom payment just to get your data back so that data doesn't get sold to competitors, released to public, or all the other options there. And it's kind of funny because I was thinking about this and we're saying, like, I think we're going to see more and more of this. And another thing that we thought was we're also going to see probably some people that are sending fake ransoms as well. So seeing like, hey, we've got your data, essentially replaying that same mode of operation and pretending they have your data even when they don't. And I will say that what's funny, we've started to see some of these things in the wild already where people are attempting to do that. And then there was an article I seen like just a couple days ago that came out. It's like, be aware, there's now these fraudulent ransomware gangs that are fraudulently claiming they have your data to try to exfiltrate or to force a ransom payment. And so I just want to give a little PSA for people to be aware of that, right?
Yeah. And we've seen it where the attackers are taking legitimate emails from previous breaches and resending it. So you got to be real careful. They're getting sneaky.
Yeah, they are. Can't trust them. Who would have thunk?
Right.
So I guess I'm excited, man. I've had a really busy week trying to button up all my to-dos. I'm going to do a little vacation myself this weekend, and so we're going camping in the Pisgah Forest, and I'm super excited about that. Going to be unplugged, and I'm actually going somewhere I'm not going to have cell phone service for a few days, so I will be forced to unplug. And that'll be really nice.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. We're going to hit the backcountry, do some camping, do some trout fishing, and super excited. And then after that's over, I'm headed down to the second half of the week to Florida, to Cape Canaveral for Hack SpaceCon, who the guest we had on last episode. And I've been putting together my talk for that, and this will be the first time delivering this talk. I'm pretty excited about it. It's about essentially a novel exploit that we discovered in some casework, where attackers are using off-the-shelf products for C2 capabilities. And so I'm pretty excited to go through this talk. I hope folks enjoy it. And it's a novel technique we discovered I still haven't seen a lot of people talking about. And so, yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
Well, I mean, and that kind of almost ties in very nicely with one of the articles we were talking about with off the shelf, with that new Rorschach ransomware that they're using the Palo Alto Cortex XDR dump service tool to sideload DLLs. I don't, and I haven't seen you talk, so I'm not sure, but it sounds kind of along those same lines. Would you say?
Yeah, I think so. There are definitely similarities in that point and I think we're going to see more and more of this of people finding ways to abuse or manipulate legitimate products and services to achieve their desired outcome, right? There's so much benefit to that. Like we were talking about with Rorschach is, what are you going to do, right? You said this, you can't go block this tool in your environment if they're using that tool to execute malicious purposes, and it becomes a challenge. And then on the flip side too, like my talk, it's kind of like a niche tool that a lot of people aren't using. It's called Rebel View. But the thing about like this tool is there's no EDR solution in the world that will see this tool in your environment and think that tool is malicious, right? So Rebel is essentially like a coding platform. You can develop applications that are very lightweight. It's designed to be used for like network communications and distributed computing. And we found an instance of attackers who were able to use Rebel View as essentially a command and control framework within an environment. And obviously the EDR didn't fire on that because Rebel itself, it's not malicious. It's an off-the-shelf product that could be used and manipulated for those malicious purposes. And so, yeah, pretty cool stuff, man.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, because I think overall EDR tools are getting pretty good at catching a lot of these new frameworks and understanding the behavior as they get more, heuristic and behavioral as opposed to just signature based. You're going to start seeing more legit stuff get abused.
It's really interesting. And, I'd like to have Seth and Eric on one day to talk about this, but we've been chatting a lot about how almost like, okay, so EDR continues to evolve. They're getting better at heuristic and behavioral based detections, which means they are getting better at identifying more like kind of complicated or sophisticated, I should say, like C2s and attack mechanisms. However, we're kind of seeing the shift where they're saying like the old is new again, where because of this kind of change in approach through heuristic and behavioral detection, there's a lot of old techniques that just stopped working that they're recycling back into their catalog that are now working again. And it's, it's just a really interesting paradigm that no one was really expecting to come as a result of the evolution of EDR and XDR software.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a game of whack-a-mole. You just never know when that thing's going to come back up.
Yeah. And it's really funny too. Like we have the constant debate really, if you're inside, is like between the red team and the blue team. And we see all the media, I think, plays more to the defensive team side. Like we have it so bad, it's so hard. We have it so bad, it's so hard. But go talk to any good red teamers and they're like, you guys are full of crap. Like you guys have it easy. You have tools and you have systems to do 90% of your work for you. And here we are. We create a beacon or a payload that's good for a day, and then it's completely trashed and burned throughout the entire ecosphere, and we got to go recode that. So no, we've got it hard. Been on the offensive side.
Yeah,
it's always a pretty fun debate to have.
That's watching those purple team exercises is always fun to just such. Good sportsmanship and back and forth. And I know the testers, I know a couple of them have given me a rough time on some of the pen tests where I'm the VC, so where they're like, really? I'm like, what do you want me to do? I can't help it. They didn't do what I said.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, man. We can only try to help people, educate people, and give them the advice. But when it comes down to the doing, it's got to be a partnership.
Yeah. I know we had one recently. The IR team was last week when I was out. They made some comments, just a little bit of giving me a little grief about it. And I was like, look, you can only do so much. There's only so much that the customers can take at once. Like
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
That's what we talk about. It takes years to build a good security program, right?
right.
It's not Rome
And,
wasn't built in a day, and neither was a good security program.
right. Right. And, you know, we talk about it. All you can do is make progress, right? As long as you can show you're making progress, you are knocking stuff off. That's the best. That's all I can ask.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
You're able to evaluate your risk, prioritize your risk, and make progress based on those risk decisions. That's all we can do.
yep. So, and it's all in good fun. So,
Yeah.
I'll
we got a little sidetrack there, but the
All right.
Rorschach ransomware, tell us about that, bro. It's super fast, I hear.
It is crazy fast. They said, compared to Lockbit v3, they did a speed test, 220,000 files. Lockbit was 7 minutes. Rorschach was 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy fast. It's actually a really GD Hackers has a really good write-up. There's a bunch that have written up about it. This is just where I found it, but they've got good graphs and stuff. But yeah, they use the Cortex dump tool to sideload winutils.dll, which is the loader and injector, and then a config.ini file that tells it what to do. Runs a bunch. One of the things that makes it so fast is it's automated. So it automatically attempts to stop predefined list of services, delete shadow copies, shadow volumes, backups, clears the event logs, disables the Windows firewall, and it's doing that all automatically. And then it creates a group policy spreading itself to other machines in the domain.
Nice. An auto install. Yeah. So next boot, put me there. Great.
Yeah. I mean, it's reading through it. I mean, if it works a malicious thing, it's just really well crafted. I mean, when you look at the details around it, it just sucks that it's being used for malicious purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really interesting. Just needs 3 files.
And I see there's like noting too, like the ransom note. It looks a lot like the dark side group, and the dark side's been dark for a while. The dark side has been dark, but I remember the dark side a couple years ago before they went dark. They caused a lot of damage, and so this could be an indicator that the dark side is back on the market again, and will be. They were some folks too that disappeared because they hit some critical infrastructure, had some heat on them, and then we've seen them kind of just lay low for a few years. And so maybe they think things have cooled. They've changed their MO, and we're going to see them back on the scene again.
Yeah, unfortunately. Now, the nice thing is, if you're not running Palo Alto, block CY, it's cy.exe. Block it. There's a hash. It's a known hash. If you're not running Palo Alto in your environment, that's your best bet to stop.
Well, I will say too, though, like, well, I don't disagree if you're not using that, and the hash is, I believe, in the file or in the article you reference here, right? So you can block that hash if you're not using that. However, I do believe if you're not using that, they'll just identify another executable to sideload on. And so, yeah, more importantly, like being able to identify the sideloading is going to be the most important step to being able to prevent this in your environment, making sure you have an EDR tool, an XDR tool, a SIEM, or someone monitoring your SIEM that knows how to detect DLL sideloading in your environment. And that's always going to be a critical indicator. If you see that something naughty is happening, and you probably need to check that out.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Like I said, it's always about not being the slowest person in the group, right? You just don't want to be low hanging fruit. Let's take steps to minimize the impact.
For sure, man. Without a doubt. I think another thing I want to hit on too for everybody real quick. There was a very, very bad critical Microsoft Outlook vulnerability that was published a few weeks ago. We didn't get a chat about, and this is kind of nasty. So essentially, the payload could be delivered just by sending an email or sending a calendar invite or anything that's using Outlook that you're going to receive in your Outlook inbox. And so this is the desktop version of Outlook, right? And so essentially they can embed a payload into that crafted message or invite to modify the notification sound or the reminder sound. And that reminder sound could be manipulated, and the exploit was used to essentially dump your NTLM hashes and then harvest those hashes for the connected Outlook mailbox and gain persistent access to that mailbox.
That is, you told me about it. I somehow had missed this. I mean, there's just so many things going on. It's easy to do, but holy cow, how do you find that, right? Like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a nasty one for sure. And the exploit was pretty trivial. And so here's the thing for everybody listening, right? There's a patch, and hopefully everybody has patched at this point. Microsoft, more importantly, they've also put out a detection script, and this is linked on our Project Hafi page. So if you go to Hafi, you'll see the article for this that's titled "The Sound of Silence: Critical Microsoft Outlook Vulnerability." But there is a detection script that you can use in your environment to see if any of these emails were sent and delivered to users in your enterprise. I would recommend doing that. Don't just do the patch. You should deploy that patch. Understand too, like the deploying these patches for like Outlook and your Office suite now. I know some of our patches for OS based don't require a restart to be able to be implemented. These require a restart. They require a restart of that application before the patch takes place. And so make sure that not only are you pushing the patches, that you're ensuring all those devices are being restarted so the patch can properly be deployed and applied, but then go hunt your environment and see if you've had any of these malicious emails hit your clients, see if they have been affected. And if so, you need to do some threat hunting on those recipients right away.
Yeah, fully agree.
Yeah, man.
That's a nasty one, like you said.
For sure.
Yeah. It'd be nice.
Have you had any interesting sounds in your Outlook mailbox lately, Brad?
No, luckily. Not some do. No.
Yeah, so I'd say everybody go check that out ASAP.
Nelson from The Simpsons doing the ha ha.
Yeah, right. You're like, man, this new mailbox rules. I love the updated settings and sounds from Microsoft.
Yeah. not like iOS where they update the emojis on a regular basis.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I feel like, man, it's just a constant string of critical vulnerabilities related to the Microsoft Exchange environment. And I know this is Outlook, but still, it's like year after year, man, there just continues to be critical vulnerabilities exposed.
It's just similar to like what we saw with LastPass, right? How many people use Microsoft? They're a big giant. Of course, they're going to be targeted. And we know that. What I don't remember offhand, and I probably need to look it up before we get the Ninja program going, but it's like 100 bugs per 1,000 lines of code or something ridiculous. You know, we're human. It happens. And I don't even want to think about how many lines of code are in there.
Yeah, and the reality is, just like you said, Microsoft is very widely adopted in the enterprise networks and enterprise environments. And therefore, their vulnerabilities are going to be the most profitable and the most valuable for those developers. And so we will continue to see those products with more vulnerabilities revealed. Every other product in the world is just as vulnerable. Just don't have as many attackers focused on developing those exploits just because of, just at the end of the day, what we always say, they're financially motivated. And so that's why we continue to see this.
Yep. They'd rather go after the 70% market share than the 5% market share.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. So, hey, you mentioned something. I know we talked about it before. We should probably mention it again, man. The CISSP mentorship program fires up next week, right?
Yeah. Yep. Monday starts on the 10th. Is that the 10th? Yes,
yeah, I think 10th. Yeah, it's the 10th.
Yeah. It's the 12th. So that's exciting.
Yeah. So how many sessions are you going to be teaching this year?
Just 2, which, oh my gosh, so nice.
Yeah. How many different instructors do we have now?
We have 4 plus, and Evan is only doing the first one, and like the introductory, and then is going to kind of lead the last class. So we got 4 people each teaching 2 classes, which is, when I started, it was Evan and I doing all 13 or 14 classes. It's just like, oh.
So there's you and Evan. Is Ryan going to be teaching this year too?
Ryan, maybe there's 5. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brad, to poke holes in your math, man, but 4 times 2 doesn't equal 13 or 14.
No, let's see. Ron Werner, Chris, and then a new guy. So Brad, Ryan, Ron, Chris, new guy. maybe we'll call them. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know.
Yeah. But we're going to have some good instructors, right? There's, like we always do. Class is totally free. Okay. I see.
I'm looking at the schedule.
Cool. Yeah. But, so which domains are you covering this year?
I don't know. Risk management. I've got it open. Hold on. What am I doing? This will tell you exactly where I'm at. I'm doing risk, security and risk management is the first class. I don't know what this class 7 is. I think it's network security, security architecture. I believe I'd have to look. That's not until like May, so I'll look at that like the week before I teach it.
Yeah. You know it by heart, man. You've taught it so many years. Like, I'm sure that it's second nature at this point.
This. Yeah, I was like, oh God, what am I teaching? And I was going through the slides. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, this.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. I'm so happy to see the growth and the progress there. That's such an awesome service that we provide to the community. And holy crap, we have over 16,000 people that are signed up for this year's session. That's incredible.
And funny enough, I'm going to do a shout out next week, but in Mexico, I was talking to someone about what I did, and they signed up for the class right there.
Yeah.
So
nice. We actually met with the Kentuckiana ISACA chapter yesterday, and I realized I hadn't shared that with them. I was like, hey, we need to get this out to everyone. And so they're doing a blast. So all the folks that are a member of that chapter in Kentucky, Indiana, I'm sure we'll get some more folks. I'm sure we're going to have 17 or 18,000 by the time it shakes down. So that's super cool, man.
I think the first year I did it would have been in 2017, this time of year, 2017. And there was like 23, 24 people that started, maybe 12 or 14 that finished.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of funny. I was just looking through like some of our content from last year recently, and was trying to like figure out the retention rate, like how many people actually start and finish this. And so it was really funny. I saw a drop on one specific domain, and I wonder if you could guess which domain people.
Model.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd seen that, and I laughed when I was like, okay, I wonder, like, okay, through the modules, this looks consistent. Oh, I see a drop here. Which module is this? And it's like, 100%. People see the encryption stuff, and they're like, I'm out.
Well, and then all the, Diffie-Hellman and the different, Chinese wall and all that stuff is just so dry, and it's not used for 99%. Like, I've never used most of that stuff.
Right. But it's good to know and understand the concepts. I mean, it really is, though. And even though you're not going to use it, it's still going to be practical knowledge that will help your understanding of concepts, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. There's value to it, but dear God, is it dry.
It is. It's so dry. Oh, man. So we got to do this, and then we'll do some shout-outs. But we always like to give a piece of good news when possible. And so I think this is a pretty big one. Brad, you were talking about this to me. Why don't you tell them?
Yeah, Operation Cookie Monster strikes again. It took down Genesis Marketplace, which was the largest, one of the world's biggest marketplaces for cyber fraud since 2018, I believe.
18, yeah. It was the place you could go if you wanted to buy credential sets that were stolen, browser fingerprints, browser cookies, all that good stuff that have been harvested. And so, heck yeah, and that was a joint effort. Again, I'm so happy to see this. And, so kudos to the FBI, Europol, everybody who was involved in that.
Yeah, like 59,000 registered users on the marketplace. Access to stolen data from over 1.5 million compromised computers containing over 80 million account access credentials. So they were saying that they had payment histories. I think there's already been 115-ish, somewhere in that range, arrests made. This is a big deal.
Yeah. Where did they sell? Did they talk about the location of where the majority of the arrests have been made?
It just says 119. Oh, here it is. 119 arrests, 17 countries, 208 property searches, and 97 knock and talk measures.
Wow.
I believe they were saying that part of it was in Russia. I was trying to find that. But it was led by the FBI and the Dutch National Police in coordination with Europol. So
wow. Super cool. Yeah. Oh, I see here. So, actually, no, this is the countries involved in the investigation, but wow, that's even cool, man. Australia, Canada, Denmark, Estonia, on and on and on and on and on. This is a very
nice to see that
coordinated joint effort. Yep.
And that's what it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
And there were some U.S. people. I'm sure there's people all over in each of those countries that were part of it. So.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right, man. There is another link I see in there as well. So it looks like they are attempting to give information to victims. So folks who had information in that database, there's a link. We'll include the link in the notes on where essentially you can go to this. You can input your email addresses and see if your email addresses were involved in that hack, and therefore those credentials have likely been harvested. So you probably want to go reset them. I'll make sure those links get in the notes to this.
Justice Department said that they provided credentials to Have I Been Pawned or Pwned.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so it should be in there soon as well. Excellent. Well, cool. Before we bounce, how about shout outs, man?
Yeah, I think, I'll give a shout out. I don't know. Just a shout out to the team for everyone who's stepped up and helped with the VRM stuff, because I've been absolutely swamped on that. So, there's 6 or 7 consultants that are stepping up and helping take on that work, the PM team, finance. So just everybody who's really helped weather the storm that exploded far larger than I ever expected.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I support that. That's a damn good shout out. We have an amazing team, and it's awesome to see just how everyone comes together, regardless of role, regardless of what your responsibilities are, to help make sure that we are all successful, because we're all ultimately working toward the same goal, which is trying to fix this broken industry. And man, we have an awesome team. So yeah.
And special shout out to the PMs for not murdering me yet. Although we'll see how that goes when we have the all company party in the team. But so far so good.
Hey man, I'm giving my shout out. It's 200 episode number 200 to you and Evan, because you guys got this ball rolling, and this is awesome. I love being able to get on here, catch up with you, talk security, and put out content that hopefully people are enjoying and is informative to them. And so big shout out to you guys for getting the ball rolling on the Unsecurity Podcast, and big shout out to you again, Brad, for still being here with us on episode 200. Hope we got 200 more coming, right?
Let's do it.
All right. Heck yeah. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in as always. Stay safe, and we'll be back soon. See ya.